All right, welcome to the podcast. This is Will Cates. This is Austin Bagwell, and we're here to talk about that. And that as well.
How you finally got my last name right?
Yeah.
How'd you find out?
I'll be real. When I got on Facebook and searched it, because I immediately searched it in the car that night. Because I felt so bad.
I don't care.
In case anyone didn't catch it, the first two episodes, I call you Austin Bagley.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Bagley, I had to have heard somewhere. It's not Baggins. It's not Frodo. It's not.
So, like in the military and like now, my friends call me Bags.
Yeah.
Just the name
Bags.
they have for me.
Bags is cool.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
So is you and Austin, your wife, talked about y'all's group chat, the Sandbags.
With our friends, the Sandersons.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I didn't make that name; they did.
That's a
I
good
can't take
name.
credit for that. It's really good.
Yeah.
Sandbags. Yeah.
I'm a part of a Facebook group of other Cateses, just people with the last name Cates, and they don't know each other at all. But all of us around the world with the last name Cates have a group on Facebook, and we just share our lives.
That's incredible. That's actually really cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's so strange. And you guys,
they invited me.
Wow. So wait. So do you have family members that are part of that group?
No.
So just a group.
It's just
of
me
people.
and other Cateses that aren't in my family.
There's no actual like evidence that these people's last names are actually Cates. This could be like a long con where it's like we're going to convince this guy over years that. We're good people. We're all named Cates.
I would
love. Reality, I wonder if it started out that way, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna get this guy," and then after a while, they realized that you were being genuine. They're like, "Oh, wow, we really care."
I know that there are mostly dudes that are that are over the age of 40 or 50, and it's just them sharing like their normal day-to-day stuff, and it's like. It is kind of strange when I get on Facebook and I just see the group. I won't even click on it, but I just see the Cates group, and it's kind of weird to think of just how many people have your last name. I mean, my best friend Gage, shout out Gage Perry. He was on a few episodes of my old podcast, Clink and Ice. He not married, is currently dating a girl with his last name. They're both Perry.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and you and Austin have the same first name.
Yeah.
And I just find it strange how, and I was joking the other day with, it was one of my friends, I mentioned how Gage was very, he didn't date a lot, and he was very picky. He, growing up, and I made some joke about how he found the perfect person, literally his same last name. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you this earlier before you start talking about Gage. Have you ever gotten a random text from someone and just saw how far you could get the conversation to go?
Oh man, I used to do a lot of prank stuff involving phone calls, text messages. Yeah, I did one time. They texted me and they said it was one of those where like, hey, they were talking business. They're like, so I think the text was like, hey, I went out to the property and it looks pretty good. You think you'd be down to meet? And then I said, yeah, sounds good, bud. Let's. I said, I'm busy this Thursday. What do you think about Friday or something like that? This has been a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I said something along the lines of, it was me joking about what do you want to do before that? And then he was like, he caught on to it, I think, because he just quit responding.
Oh.
But I sometimes wonder if it was actually like a real sort of person or someone or some sort of scam, because you get ones that are like, hey, I'm interested in your property. Are you interested in selling it as some scam thing? But I don't know.
I had one this week.
Yeah.
And it was a number. It was a Los Angeles area code. I don't know anybody from Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
And it was one word. It said hello. That was it. There's no punctuation, nothing. It was just the word hello. So I
that's rare. Normally straight to a question.
I will actually let me read to you what I said to this person, because I eventually just defaulted to just sending them memes, because that's what I do. And this person said hello. I said, who starts a text with hello, especially when they don't know the person they're texting? They responded with, okay, comma, introduce yourself, comma, my name is Anna, comma, that's my name, comma, what should I call you, comma, please? And I'm like, this person doesn't know English at all. So I just sent a bunch of laughing emojis, and then I just defaulted to GIFs. I just sing
Please
GIFs.
tell me she sent a gift back.
No, they didn't.
That would have been perfect.
I like how you called her a she, though. That's you're giving this person a lot of credit.
Yeah.
They just responded back with, what are you laughing at? And my last response, and they stopped talking to me after this, was a gif of Michael Scott going, what? And that was it. And then I got nothing else after that. But I have a habit of doing this where it's like, I want to see how far I can get with someone. Like, most of the time it's a scammer. Most of the time they're just trying to scam you.
Someone just texted me. Someone just messaged me on Twitter and said, "Can I send you $5,000?" Right as we're talking about this.
Will, you need to get on there.
It literally says it right there.
You're right, it does.
$5,000.
That's amazing.
I'm gonna just say, yeah. Go ahead and Venmo.
Yeah, go and PayPal me. Cash App, bro. But anyway, I see how far I can get with those situations, and it's like, it's. I know most of the time these are people who are trying to scam.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I can take up as much of their time as possible, it's less time they're taking to scam somebody. You know what I mean? Someone who's not.
It's just sad though that people the kids now. There's a lot of people who will never get to experience what real prank calling was, because with a house phone you could truly do it, and they would call the house. I remember getting scam telemarketer calls at my house, and or just people. It could have been family, friends of my parents, who knows. But I remember joking so much on there. One time I pretended I was in an airplane, and as soon as I answered, but I pretended I was in a plane about to go down. So they called, and I said, "Oh, thank God, somebody called. I've been trying to reach somebody."
This took a turn I was not expecting.
I was like, look, we're about to go down. Only got about 4,000 feet. Like, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
I was freaking out, dude.
That's hilarious.
Like,
that's actually really good.
I was like, please just call somebody. I'm somewhere outside of blah, blah, blah state. And then I was just, and then I hung up. And I'm just hoping.
You know that person's like,
You know, I'm like,
I just pulled this number out of the phone book. What just happened? A phone book, for those who don't know, is a giant book filled with phone numbers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They don't phone books, house calls, worrying about how long you're on the. I remember my mom and I used
being on the internet,
dude. How long you're on the internet. Totally. All of that was stuff you had to be careful of.
I'm actually surprised that you experienced that dialogue.
I was the last generation of.
You had to have been.
Really, people that are between 25 and 30, or maybe not even that, but I'm 28, and I feel like my generation, I remember before cell phones, when everyone is just hanging out. I remember at most you had a Game Boy, but there was no distraction. Yeah. I remember I had all my friends' house phone numbers memorized. Yep. I remember it took 30 minutes for the computer to cut on, and actually before you could use it. I was playing. I used to love the computer games. Do you remember? I remember the first Need for Speeds, the first Call of Duties on computer. Yeah. I used to play those.
We had a LAN party at. For those of you who don't know what a LAN party is, it stands for Local Area Network. And basically, a friend of mine invited a bunch of guys from church over to his house. We all played. We were playing. I think it was Call of Duty online.
Yeah.
And maybe it was Battlefield 1942. I can't remember.
Fun game.
And both very good games. And we decided to all have the same style of name, where it was General, and then whatever word afterwards. Mine, for example, was General Store.
So you spot each other on the field in the game. You have that name as well.
Yeah.
That like your tag. Yeah.
So my brother had General Idea. I was General Store. Someone had General.
I love General.
It's like the word General and then whatever. Yeah. But that was we played that game the entire night, and it was a solid 12 hours of gaming.
It was so much fun.
It was a ton of fun. We had so much fun doing that. And then you were about to say with dial-up internet.
Yeah,
I remember internet first coming into our house.
Yeah.
And that was such a big deal. In fact, it was such a big deal more to my dad than anybody else. Like as a kid, I didn't start like hanging out on the internet a lot.
AIM and whatnot.
Yeah.
I did that as well.
Man, AIM,
I did that as well.
ASL, asexual location. Freaking, we didn't. I didn't do anything on the internet aside from going to AIM. Like I didn't even have MySpace at the time.
Oh, dude, no, I
really didn't do much. And then finally, a friend of mine introduced me to RuneScape. And that is where I was like, okay, I'm on the internet all the time.
Yep.
As to play this game.
And I was on the phone while on the internet. I was on the phone, home phone, while playing RuneScape, talking with my friend. We didn't have microphones for the computer. My mom gets so mad because we'd spend hours playing RuneScape. And yeah, man, it's. I remember the only things I did was RuneScape, playing a couple of games like the first Need for Speed. I remember helicopters would drop bombs on you. You have to and then like Call of Duty. But if I was on the internet, I was looking up pictures of Dragon Ball Z characters, and what I would do is I would print them. And I remember that printer, it was so slow. And I remember just watching it as they did each line of color. It was so slow. And then I print that picture of a Dragon Ball Z character. This is how I became interested in art, actually. So I would, I always loved movies, but when I started drawing, what I do is I print that Dragon Ball Z character, go over to the window, put scotch tape it to the window, and with a piece of notebook paper or thin tracing paper, and I trace them.
Very cool.
That's how I got into drawing, was tracing. And I told people, there's nothing wrong with tracing if you want to get into drawing, because you're doing the same thing, except you have that. First off, it feels good. Like you finish, you're like, look what I drew. But you learn just through doing it, and eventually you try to take that away and draw by looking at it. And that's how I got into art.
Wow,
ended up going to art
That's
school.
interesting. Yeah, I never. I do remember doing the same. Actually, I printed out a picture of Gohan. And traced that. That was in middle school
With the hair.
Yeah. Well, this was. I'm not going to get down into that Dragon Ball Z. I could absolutely do that.
Oh yeah.
It's either that or Star Wars or Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I love it all.
I don't want to say I'm a closet nerd. I hide it well.
Yeah.
I go outside a lot. But I'm 100% a closet nerd. I love Dragon Ball Z and Lord of the Rings and all that, but also love firearms and going backpacking. And I think I've got a pretty healthy balance. You know what I mean?
It's
still
good.
Gonna be that cool dad. Austin and I had a full-on conversation about how we're going to be the cool older parents of our daughter's friend group.
Yep.
You know, like
the ones where you're like, I want to go to your house.
Which I'm totally fine with, because that means I can watch you. I can keep my eye on you. You're not getting into anything like. Her friends are going to know that Mr. Bagwell's strict, but he's cool.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's the role that I'm going to fill.
Being the cool parent, I'll tell you what, I remember so much the sleepovers at my house. And, we would stay up all night and play specifically Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games.
Oh, bro, dude.
I grew up on them.
Dude, that soundtrack was so good.
So good. 99 red balloons.
For all those much older people who have no idea what we're talking about, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, man, what a great game!
I think it formed my
came out
clothing
in 64,
choices.
in 64, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a great game!
And then it went into PlayStation as well. They had the PS2 ones, and they were just so much fun, and the soundtracks were great, and we would just play that all night. And it's funny. Here's a cute story. So a lot of times it was my buddy Malik. He's awesome.
Cool
he's
name.
He's the one working on a logo for us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Shout out. What's up, bro?
Shout out Malik. He is the man. And he actually, this is really cool. He works in video game design. So he actually makes video games.
That's super cool.
Yeah, and it's one of those examples of like where people would talk about what they love to do, and they actually end up doing that when they're older. And it's but he and I would stay up playing Tony Hawk, and I remember this funny story he told me. Speaking of cool dads, cool parents, my dad would, when we'd wake up, he would get us chicken biscuits, even when we got older too, from Bojangles. And I remember one time, like one of the earliest times he came over to the house, he asked my he asked Malik, "What do you want from Bojangles?" And he was like, "Do you want like chicken or sausage biscuit?" And just like Malik just saying what okay, he was okay with anything. He was just happy. He said, "Oh yeah, sausage is okay." My dad got him a sausage biscuit like every time from then on.
Oh,
and
wow,
then
yeah.
and I just assumed he was into him as well. And it was way later he told me, "Well, I'll be honest, you think I could get a chicken biscuit?" And I was like, "Bro, did you not want sausage all those times?" He's like, "No, but I didn't want to say anything." He was just
That's
so
awesome.
thankful to get.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And
that's
it's-
just being polite.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's
I
funny
get
how
it.
you get in those spots where you're
Yeah.
like, "This is my life now."
I've resigned myself to the sausage biscuit. And your dad's like, dude, I appreciate it. They're only $1 a piece, man. Like, you're the cheapest friend he's got.
Yo, I'm telling you, but waking up with that Bojangles, man, it's good stuff.
Bojangles was the first food that I ate, the first restaurant I went to after getting back from Iraq.
Oh, I bet that was so good.
It was so good. Right across the main gate from Fort Bragg was a Bojangles. This was 2010. And as soon as we landed and were released, I immediately went to that Bojangles and got a chicken supreme combo.
Oh, dude,
It was
those
so good.
tenders, sauce, but more importantly, those fries are just so good.
Super good.
That
They're
Cajun
super good.
seasoning.
Yeah.
I eventually bought that seasoning for my house. You know how you can get it?
Yeah.
And it's not as good as when you put it on normal fries, but
Oh, I agree,
I would
yeah.
get Bojangles, bring it home, and if they didn't put it on, I'd put it on
would.
myself.
Bojangles, for those of you who don't know, Bojangles is a Cajun place. I mean, I think it's better than Popeyes. I don't
Me
know if you've
too.
ever been to Popeyes.
I have. They
but-
had one in Greensboro.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not bad, but it's fast
Yeah.
food. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But Bojangles has got this place in Southerners' hearts where so when I was in infantry school, I had a drill sergeant named Drill Sergeant Lilly.
Mm-hmm.
Drill Sergeant Lilly's from North Carolina, so he and I got along great. We were actually friendly.
Oh, cool.
And which is in a training environment, your drill sergeant is supposed to be very very strict and very abrasive in that. But since at that point I was considered prior service, they treated us a little bit better, and he and I became friends. And we would reminisce about North Carolina, and Bojangles was one of the things we would reminisce on. He was like, "Dude, I'd kill for some chicken supremes right now." I'm like, "Drill sergeant, same,
Bro.
same, man, like for real."
It's so
It was-
cool.
Yeah.
You think everyone has these places you grow up with, but if you look up on a map, Bojangles locations, it's along the coast of the U.S. and nowhere else.
Yeah,
you know?
well, it's just the southern states.
Just-
North
yeah, just
Carolina,
the-
South
yeah, yeah,
Carolina, maybe Georgia. Like whenever we go up north to visit my in-laws, everyone's talking about like Wawas, and I'm like, what is a Wawa? Like that's what I used to call water when I was a kid.
Give me Wawa.
Like what's a Wawas? Like we have sheets.
Yeah.
They have Wawas, and I'm like,
What the sheet is that?
yeah, seriously, like what is it? And there's one that's actually going to be that's going to be built in the local area. And I was reading some of the comments on Facebook about it, and like all of the Northerners are stupid excited for Wawas. And I'm like, can we not have like a 13th gas station in this town? How about we like improve the roads or something? Like we don't need this.
The
but-
amount of drugs, pharmacies, gas stations,
And churches.
and dollar stores, and churches. Those are the big four. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's crazy. But
Yeah.
Bojangles is life.
It is.
bro,
Did you
for
know
real.
you can ask for extra supreme and they give you extra tender?
Oh, really?
Had no idea.
I had no idea.
I was ordering for my coworker Skylar, shout out, and he said he was telling me his order because I'm the lunch guy. I will always go get everyone lunch because it's a break from work. You
Yeah.
get to go drive a little bit. And he said, "And give me an extra supreme." I'm like, "Excuse me? You want
Sorry,
a whole nother box? You can eat that much chicken tenders?" He's like, "No, I just want an extra tender." And I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
Like, you can do that?
It was game changer.
See, that's one of those things where in my never-ending quest to not bother other people,
Yeah, you would never have known.
I'm not going to alter the menu.
No,
The menu
me
is
either.
the menu. That's what you get.
Yep.
Don't alter it. Stop it.
There's a special sauce at Cookout. Had no idea. If you ask for it, they will give you their Cookout sauce.
Huh.
That is not on the menu,
Right. Wow.
But it's one of those like if you mixed ranch and buffalo.
I was going to
sort
say
of
it's like
yeah.
Thousand Island, just
Yeah,
salty.
And but it's just kind of cool. It makes you feel like you know those secrets
Yeah.
are like, I'm a real.
Oh, it's like the secret menu, you know.
Real
McDonald's got a
fans?
secret menu, but you have to go at night. And it's only after 10:00, and you just ask for the
you
secret
mix all
menu.
the sodas together.
Dude, I did that as a kid,
Yeah.
man. I'm surprised I don't have diabetes.
Suicide is what they
Yeah.
called it with us.
Really? I've never
Yeah,
heard
there's
that.
different
That's-
names for
yeah,
it.
yeah.
What do they call it with y'all?
What when you mix?
Did
sodas?
y'all have a name for it? Where
Diabetes.
it was every drink.
Cavity inducing?
Cavity induced.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like we didn't have a name for it. Like it was just me
Okay.
and my brother. We were
we
the
had
ones who,
names
like,
for everything growing up.
Here's
it
the
was
thing,
weird.
though. Inevitably, everything tastes like Coke.
That's true.
Like you
It's
can
true.
put Sprite and Dr
Yeah,
Pepper.
yeah.
It's gonna taste like Coke.
Yeah,
like just every time.
And honestly, I've started getting more into Coke a lot more. Like Jen and I have had to like kind of like stop ourselves because we got on this kick where McDonald's Coke, it was so good. It just has this.
McDonald's Coke is so. I don't know if this is true or not. I'm actually gonna look it up.
If it's what I think it is,
McDonald's
it's true because she looked it up.
It's
You
the
talk
way it's
about
transported?
yes,
Yes, yeah,
They
yeah.
treat it differently. They have a whole system with their Coke there, or with their sodas, and that's why Coke and Sprite at McDonald's taste so good. Is because they actually like go to meticulous details. I think when it comes to
I just googled McDonald's Coke, and this is on this is on McDonald's website. It just so whenever you Google something, you just Google it. It comes up like the first hit on Google. It just gives you like a small little paragraph, and it says small Coca-Cola, McDonald's fountain Coke. Coca-Cola from McDonald's is a cold, refreshing fountain drink. Grab a Coca-Cola soda at McDonald's near you and pair it with your favorite, and then it goes on with like a menu item. But like somebody was hired to do a write-up
what Coke
on
is.
Coke at McDonald's. Like this is
Paired-
the most ridiculous.
Paired nicely with ice in
It's
a
the
cup.
most ridiculous. Wow. Like if you ever feel like there's not a job out there for you, you're wrong because somebody wrote that up and got paid for it.
I love to. I've always felt like I was a words guy, and I actually have been at my last job. I would run social media accounts for different businesses, and so I would be the one posting those things like, "Man, it's a hot day. Best thing to wash it down with is a Coke from blah blah." So I would. That was just kind of fun to me to kind of be the voice that I saw. You see him all the time.
Yeah,
but it's kind of
don't
fun.
realize how difficult copy. I would kind of call it copywriting, not necessarily, but because I manage a YouTube channel for a local museum for their videos, and so I don't know the people that are doing these. They're doing these presentations, so I have to Google them. I have to search them. And basically what I'll do is I'll just go to their LinkedIn or whatever comes up on Google, like if there's an article about them or something like that, and I'll just take that and put it into my own words.
Yep.
Because I don't know all of them. I don't know all these people.
You have to use something.
And I'm like,
to work
I
with.
need a resource, and I'll cite it at the bottom of the bottom of the description. But like sometimes, dude, I just hit a wall, and I'm like, I don't know. I know what this podcast is about or this video is about because I just edited it, but I don't know this person at all. So. I can come up with a title. I can put their name in the title, but I got to give like a little bio or something.
Dude,
that's not easy.
It's not. When you get also if you do the same, I noticed after a while, there's only so many ways you can sell a sandwich.
Yeah,
and they want me to put a post out every other day about a meatball sub. Lord, the stuff I would say, like they may, like I would get to the point where I'm like, sure, it may taste good, but does it taste this good? Like, I mean, I'm getting weird with it. Like, those other guys can do meatballs, but can they do a meatball sub?
Wow.
I'm trying anything I can think of.
It's so strange
to promote.
That company's defunct now. They're just
they're gone, dude. They're gone. It's true. I left, and then shortly after they went under. But
they knew.
Yeah.
They knew. They're like, oh, we got to get out.
Gosh. They were like, we can't.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Wow. That it makes me sometimes go back and just kind of think, the different things that I've done, just how impactful was it,
Yeah.
Like, so when I got out of the military, I did law enforcement for a little while, not very long, didn't like it. Then I got into retail loss prevention. So like, if you ever see a video online of like people stopping shoplifters, I did that for a very long time.
And you're watching those monitors and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So you're watching monitors and you're watching people steal, and you got all these rules you got to follow. Then you go stop them. I graduated from that into doing investigations. So
cool to me.
I'm not just doing shoplifters. I'm now doing like in-depth organized retail crime investigations, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one individual. I'm not going to give this person's name or anything, but after they had stolen from our company, they were hitting several stores in the area all across the state. I built up a ton of information on this person. And when I finally caught them in person stealing, and I got them back into the office and I'm interviewing them, she was like, I was waiting. I've been waiting for this day. It's such a load off, and I'm glad I got caught, and blah blah blah. There's part of me that's super cynical. I'm like, you're just saying this because you want me to feel sympathy for you or feel sorry for you.
Go easy on you.
Right. So, like, it's my decision because it's not.
Yeah.
But there's also a part of me that's like, maybe that was the moment that person's life changed. And because
that's something you got to consider.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I saw it all. I've seen, I've seen 8-year-old kids stealing stuff. I've seen 80-year-old grandmas stealing stuff, and everything and everybody in between. Bro. And some of them that you think are going to go one way when you go to approach them, it goes completely different. Like, I've had the roughest looking dudes that I'm like, this dude's going to want to fight me. He's going to want to make this a big deal. He's going to make this hard. And they're just like, oh yeah, you got me. And then they come right back, and I'm straight up with everybody. It's like, hey, look, listen, This is my job. This is what I got to do. And they're like, oh, no, dude, respect. It's your job. I understand.
That's what, at that point, you've been caught. Just go with it. Because, you're not going to... You would think
that, but some people get into that fight or flight. The worst ones are like the really snobby people or snobby kids that are like, my dad's a lawyer or I'm a lawyer. And I'm okay, well, I'll see you in court then. It's not a big deal. I had one kid that was like, my dad's a lawyer. He's going to get you for this. And I said, I hope he does your work pro bono.
He was Malfoy.
He kind of looked at
Draco
me.
Malfoy.
Yeah, right? I was like, I hope he does your work pro bono. And he looked at me and said, that means for free. And it's a law term. It's a lawyer's term. They're like, whatever. His dad did not defend him in court. Like, some of the best moments, man, I've had in court. Like, I could tell you stories for hours about being an investigator. But in North Carolina, there was a major city that I was very well known to the defense attorneys because of how prolific I was at catching shoplifters. And the defense attorneys knew me. So they knew that when I was in court, I was always in a suit, always had all my evidence with me, and my reports were flawless. They knew that if they're going to fight, they're going to have to really bring their A game. And I had this one guy, he's a veteran, older guy, and he became very friendly with me. And I'm always kind of tentative when defense attorneys are friendly with me because they're like, hey, we're buddies, cut me some slack, blah, blah, blah. But I can remember one time his client was in the gallery and he was talking to his client, and then he came over to me and he was like, hey, do you have such and such? I said, oh yeah, he's mine. And he goes, oh, okay. But when he came up, he immediately shook my hand. He's like, hey man, how you been? I'm like, I'm good. How are you? And we're joking, we're laughing. Yeah. And I look over at his client in the gallery. This is a guy caught shoplifting, and he's like looking at him like, are you guys buddies? Like, what's going on? And I can only imagine, like, this dude's thinking to himself, like, oh my God, they're friends? What happened? Like, I had the wrong lawyer. And eventually the defense attorney was like, so what do you got on my guy? I said, everything. He goes, oh, yeah. You got video? I said, oh, yeah. He goes, you got your report? Oh, yeah. He goes, should I fight this? I said, no, I don't fight this. He goes, all right. And he went and talked to the assistant district attorney, and they worked something out. But
truly, that's what needs to happen to save time, first of all.
Oh, yeah. No, it's pretty streamlined.
Energy, yeah.
It's pretty streamlined.
And I think sometimes people probably don't even realize that's happening. But when you work in a field, you learn that, like, okay, the best way we can do this is not that we're battling. Let's get out of here quick.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I did have one incident with a minor female, and she and her friend stole, it was something in the neighborhood of like $400 or $500 worth of stuff. Okay. And this defense attorney, so dealing with a juvenile, you're in juvenile court. It's a completely different courtroom to what I'm normally in. Mm-hmm. And but I had seen this defense attorney before several times. He's seen me before. But we really didn't interact all that much before this moment.
Is this in a normal courtroom, or is that normally set somewhere else?
No, this is in a juvenile courtroom. It's in a courtroom
Oh,
that's
okay.
just for juveniles.
Did
So
it have
doesn't the
dancing
crowd.
lobsters?
What?
Dancing lobsters?
No, I don't know. What are you referencing right now?
Amanda's show? Did you ever
Oh
watch
my
it?
God.
Do you remember
I haven't
that?
thought
Now
about
bring
that
out the dancing lobsters.
I know what you're talking about now. I haven't thought about that show in decades, man. Anyway, at
There's
going to
be 12 people that know that reference.
Not even.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
so they're all fired up. They
Yeah.
want to fight this. The ADA is prepping me. She's like, okay, we're going to get you on the stand. We're going to ask you these questions, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, okay. I've done it before. Not a big deal.
Okay.
So I've got a disc with me. It's got all the video on it. So the defense attorney with this juvenile and the juvenile's mom go off into a side room and they watch the video. They come back out and they hand the ADA, the assistant district attorney, the video back, and he leans over and says, "You had offered a plea deal before. Can we talk about that plea deal again?" And the ADA stops and she looks at him, she looks at me, and then she looks back at him and goes, "You were so ready to fight this. What's changed? What's going on?" And the defense attorney just looks at me. He goes, "Your video is just too good. Like you're freaking Steven Spielberg. Like seriously,
Yeah.
that's what he said." And he goes, "We just can't. We can't fight this." And she was like, "Okay, yeah. You know, the plea deal. We can absolutely do that." And blah blah blah. Because this is a juvenile, and they make mistakes. Whatever. I was fine with it. So the judge is like, "Okay, all parties ready? Yes, judge." And the defense attorney's like, "I've spoken with the ADA. We're going to go with the plea deal." And the judge goes, Wait! I thought this was going to trial." and he goes. The video's just too good. It's too conclusive. And she goes, "Well, I want to see it."
Yeah, like if it's so
the
good.
ADA hands the video over to the judge, and the judge watches it. And she's like, "Wow, this is really good." So anytime I was in regular court, like adult court, and that same defense attorney would see me, he would tell other defense attorneys around him, if you have him, his video's too good. Just don't even mess with it. And I'm like, thanks,
Makes
man.
your job easier.
It made it way easier.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool to have
That's
a
a true
reputation.
story. It absolutely happened.
Bro, to be so good that you're like the Lincoln lawyer. Matthew McConaughey. Did you have a briefcase?
Yeah. No, I didn't have a briefcase. I was a tool.
I'm gonna just imagine you had a briefcase.
No, I had a leather portfolio with a zipper on it.
Oh well, that's cool.
Good.
That's cool too, though. I love those.
Official.
Yeah.
Court is actually. It's actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people think it's like this. Well, from my point of view, it was a lot of fun. But like I can remember one time I was in court, and the person I was there for was there at the initial roll call and then left. And that's how they get away with not having a warrant put out for their arrest.
Oh.
They're like, "Oh, but I was here." Like, no, you were there for first call, then you left.
Oh, so that's how I treated school.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. When you're skipping
I
class.
wasn't
except it's
absent for the
court.
day, but I was gone for several classes.
So anyway, the ADA and the judge were like, I was the last person there, and they were like, "Who are you here for?" And I was like, "This person." They were here for first roll call, but then they got up and left, and they haven't been called since. And they were like, "Okay, well, we'll see if we can't try to find their defense attorney or them or whatever." So while we were waiting, the judge is calling different the last few cases.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of that, she calls me up to the stand where she is, which is like, when that happens, there's something's up. Like, and I'm like,
so you're,
"Oh no, did I do something?"
Thinking,
like,
yeah.
'cause I was on my phone, I was checking the time and stuff. You're not supposed to be on your phone in court and that.
And you've been doing this a while, so you
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
were
So,
like, "This
like,
is routine," and then all of a sudden
that happens.
Oh gosh.
So like I go up there, and I like to go in a suit. I'm wearing a suit,
Tight.
and I walk up there, and she when she first got there, she introduced herself as a substitute judge.
Mm-hmm.
So she was filling in for somebody. I'd never seen this judge in this courtroom before. You usually see the same judges over and over again. And she was like, I just want to ask, who do you work for? And I told her who I worked for. She was like, "You're dressed so well. I love your suit." I'm like,
"Oh man,
I'm
this
like,
job
"Thank you.
went
Thank
really
you so
well
much."
for you."
And then like the clerk, before I went up there, she and the clerk of court who sits right next to her, she's like her assistant, her secretary. And they're like looking at me and then talking to each other like in hushed tones, and then looking back at me, and I'm like, why do I feel like I'm in high school right now? Like, what's going on?
Take a picture of last longer.
Like seriously. And then she asked me to go up there and just ask me about my suit, and then ask me about the case I had, because she read the affidavit, and she was like, "She stole how many pairs of shoes?" I was like, "It was like 14 or 15 pairs. She's like,
Yeah.
how did she do it? Like, well, they were all flats. So she could put
But
them in
just
her
imagine
purse.
at this point they're
And
eating
I'm like,
popcorn.
Yeah, like seriously, I'm totally just taken aback.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is something completely new to me. And I walked, and she was like, okay, well, I don't think she's going to be here, so if you want to leave, you can. The ADA knows, and blah, blah, blah.
And
Okay,
like,
well,
I mean,
appreciate
if
it.
you want to leave us your number,
Yeah,
like-
right, like, seriously, I'm leaving the courtroom. I'm like, did she just hit on me? What just happened? That was the weirdest thing ever.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
it was.
Dude, do you feel
Very
like,
weird.
honestly, you feel like you could do that job again?
No,
Okay.
no, gosh, I don't have the patience.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So I did it for about 10 years, and the
That's
problem,
longer than I thought.
yeah, I did it for a long time. The problem is when you see the same faces over and over again, and they're still doing the same thing, and
Yeah.
even if they're charged with
That
felonies,
gets to you.
you don't feel like you're making a difference at
Yeah.
all. And it's not like I was recovering hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise
Yeah.
or restitution to the company. I wasn't seeing any money from that. I
Yeah.
wasn't getting anything from that. Like
Yeah.
the irregular hours, the long nights, like if I had to do overnights where I'm set up
And
on
then
a location,
right back
like,
in it doing the same
just,
thing.
Yeah,
Makes you
it
think
just never
about
ended, man.
Batman. To think,
It
I
makes you
mean,
what?
think about Batman.
How's that?
Because this man is beating dudes to a pulp. He's dressed up. He's flying
wasn't beating
around.
anybody
But
up.
what I mean is, like, he's staying up all night, and this is his life. And he goes back out, and there's more. There's always more bad guys.
Yeah, the difference between me and Batman is one, my parents are still alive. Two, I'm not a billionaire, and three,
but you dress nice. So you
yeah,
got
I
it.
used to, yeah. That,
Oh, man.
that was one thing I didn't get to bring up on the last podcast where I brought up bringing back more eloquent speech and,
Yeah.
and things like that. I want to bring back dressing in a suit
Dude.
all the time.
Dude, those I'm a big fan of period piece movies,
Yeah.
and I love that. Same with video games too. Like one of the reasons I love the Assassin's Creed games too is just like I just love like the time periods where it was expected to wear, if you're a dude, to wear a suit, and women are wearing these like lavish like dresses, and just like it's very cool to me. And then I was always a fan of like not always. I sometimes throw that around. Like if something is recent,
It's a powerful word.
I'll
Always
say
is a powerful
always,
word, yeah.
but it's not always. I've noticed, and if there's been a few movies, I think it's cool when they show that period where women were starting to wear pants, and it was considered like taboo. But to me,
Grease
it's like
2.
super cool, like to be that chick that's like, I'm wearing pants.
The movie Grease 2 comes to mind.
Grease 2.
Yeah,
I only saw
where
the
she's-
first Grease.
She's walking through the hall. So you haven't seen it?
Not the second one.
Dude, spoilers.
Oh, man.
Freaking!
It's okay.
One of the main characters walking through the hallway, and she's wearing pants.
Yeah.
And another girl walks past her, looks down, and goes, pants. And this girl, the main character, she's like, she walks back to her locker, grabs a skirt, puts it on over her pants, and then just pulls her pants out.
Wow. See, there you go. That to me,
That's it. Yeah.
I'm kind
That's not that
of.
long ago either.
That's wild because, like, I just think that I don't know that whole. There's some really cool female empowerment. Like, there's some really cool female driven movies that have been made recently. The Enola Holmes movies, like where she's it's Sherlock Holmes' daughter or sister.
I've seen them on Netflix, but I haven't watched it.
They're actually pretty good.
Is
And
Henry Cavill in?
yeah, he's Sherlock
Okay.
Holmes, and he's great as Sherlock Holmes.
I need to watch it then.
He
I'm a fan of
is
Henry Cavill.
seriously him as Holmes. When you're watching it, you're like, I want his show. Like you'll think, give him a Sherlock Holmes show.
Yeah.
And he's in the second one a lot, but they've done 2 of them. But anyway, she's in pants, and she's like a detective, and people are in the other women in the movie are like in dresses and stuff, and I just think it's cool. And they're also in jobs that they hate, and she's like, it's during that time where like a lot of the work is just like this factory jobs and stuff.
Yeah, Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, and she's like this kicking butt, detective.
Yeah,
I love stuff like that.
I'm not opposed to movies like that. What I'm opposed to is things like the Star Wars sequels, the last 3 movies.
There's a difference in how you handle it.
Yeah, where there's actual character development.
Yeah.
And what they did in the Star Wars movies, they were just like, she's the best.
Here I am, and
it's like there was no difficulty in
some
what
struggle.
she was doing. Yeah, exactly. There was no struggle in what she was doing at all.
in the
period.
growth, seeing the growth,
Yeah.
because when you jump straight to
I can
hero.
do everything you can do.
Yeah, you have people. Then you're stuck in this hole of trying to go back, trying to explain it, and that's where they messed up. Yep. But I'm trying to think. There are examples of, for instance, the Kill Bill movies. She's whooping tail, but she has this horrible story of the massacre at her wedding, and also throughout the movie, she's getting her butt handed to her as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like she almost gets buried alive. All this stuff that she.
Well, she did get buried alive, but she didn't die.
That's what I mean. Yeah, she did. Yeah, totally, dude. Or like when she in the movie in the first one where she's just literally trying to just move because she's like still paralyzed from the coma.
So I'll go ahead and say
some struggle.
I'll go ahead and say this. I think women are very powerful. Yeah. I've seen my wife give birth to my daughter naturally with no painkillers.
It's wild.
And it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. I don't think I could do it. No. I really don't. But I also don't think that women... I don't think men and women are interchangeable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
especially in those roles. Like if you go back to Aliens with Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, that's a terrific movie, and she fulfilled that role so well. Yeah. But there was still like, especially in Aliens 2, where she comes across, what's the little girl's name?
I don't remember her name.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I watched
the last survivor at Hadley's Hope.
Mm-hmm.
When she comes across that girl, there's still this maternal instinct about her, and it does show through her character. But like this business of like Atomic Blonde,
yes,
the movie Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as an example.
Where it's like this woman is getting hit by dudes who outweigh her by at least 50 to 100 pounds, like a lot of weight. Yeah, and it's just shrugging it off. It's like, this isn't realistic.
Yeah, you can show that story real. With her taking a beating and still coming back up. Yeah, it's okay to show her get her butt handed to her, because then it makes it even more.
It makes it better
even more potent when she does come back around.
And I know some people are going to be upset and offended by what I said.
Well, hey,
frankly, I don't care.
Yeah. Also, you can have a movie where a chick is ripped. And like, and then I'll be like, okay. Totally. There was Mandalorian. I don't know if you watched it.
Yeah.
Do you remember the chick that had the big gun all the time?
Yeah.
She's Gina, maybe.
Yeah, Gina Carano.
Yeah. So she's ripped.
She's an MMA fighter.
So in a scene where she's getting her butt kicked in by some dudes, I'm thinking, and she stands back up and keeps going. I'm like, she's huge, like, and she's
built,
a beast.
You're in shape. Totally agree.
And so there is that element of, because it can take you out of it when you see unrealistic power in movies. And I think the Star Wars, which is something that is, all about power, where it comes from, how you handle it, to take that lightly was...
Well, here's the thing. Everything has become so political these days and ideological that it's storytelling is so important to us as human beings.
Oh my gosh.
It's how we hand down through generations our heritage.
That's why I love movies so much.
Right. It's on-screen storytelling. It's exactly what it is. But when it becomes political and it becomes ideological, and
everything
no longer,
is symbols of this or that, it loses.
I don't care. Yeah. Like, this isn't storytelling. This is propaganda now.
It's catering as well.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, I just don't. That's a lot of the reason why I don't go to the movies anymore. It's
you see it in a lot, and that's why I've noticed. Sometimes I drive all the way, like an hour away, to the theater that has like upwards of 10 screens, because they're showing these smaller movies that are not your big budget, and they are brave enough to do things that are not trying to just get maximum sale tickets. Like, they don't care that there's an audience that doesn't like their movie. They are making a movie for an audience, not for everybody. Yeah. And it can show, like, it can be great.
I love that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy YouTube so much.
Yeah.
YouTube is that place where people go, like, obviously there's people there who just want to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's people there who have been recording videos for 9, 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
They have very small audiences, but they've been doing it religiously because they love to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I find to be the most interesting and
That
the most
passion.
valuable type of content. And I hate to say like content creator because I don't think that those people are. I think that they are artists.
They're storytellers. They're creators. Yeah.
And I love that.
It's so good.
I love that.
They know that there's an outdoorsman out there that wants to see their vlog.
Yep.
And they're not thinking, how do I make everyone love this? They know their audience and they're making it for them. And that's okay. It's okay to make something for a niche.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when you try to water everything down for everybody, I mean, you
get Disney.
Yes.
You get Disney.
And even Disney fans are starting to wise up and be like, I don't like, because Lord, the older Disney cartoon movies are so good. They hit you in the heart in a way that's what Disney should be. It should be this thing that like even adults are crying. I will say Moana did make me cry. That was the one with The Rock plays the big I don't know if it's Samoan dude, but it's about a girl who lives on an island and all she wants to do is leave the island. And everyone on the island's like, no, we have what we need here. But the part that got me so much is there was a big story about even though it doesn't make the people you're closest, even though it upsets the people that are closest with you, you chase your dreams. And basically like there's the whole element of like your family is you're upsetting your family, but you're going out there and doing your thing. Like that had a good like story to it. And also when the grandparent passes away, that scene, like I was crying in the theater and I was like, this is what Disney can do if they, I don't even know if it was Disney, but I was like, cartoons can hit you.
Speaking of character dying, Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda.
Bro,
that was pretty heavy.
Good character.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Yeah, it was.
If you haven't seen Kung Fu Panda, man, please just do yourself a favor. Go watch it. Such a good movie. Jack Black is great in that movie.
I catch myself saying skadoosh. Still pretty often.
Yeah.
I hit a speed bump the other night with Jen when we were in the car, and I said skadoosh, and we busted out laughing.
It's got nothing to. All right, that's good.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd be the kind of person that like add your own sound effects to things.
Oh, big time, big sound effect guy. I mean, I'm just making noise. I mean, and I'm just all about twisting words into fun.
Yeah.
My friends and I, I'm not even joking with you, have a legitimate language of ridiculous baby talk mixed with silly words. All right. I'm not seriously. We talk. All right. It's so funny. So, if we're messing with each other, we'll say, "Quit heckling me."
Okay.
And then that formed into calling the person who is heckling you Sheckler. So we'll be like my friend, like I'll be messing with him texting, he'll be like quit it, Sheckler. And I know what he means by that.
Okay.
It's weird
it's
how
like shorthand almost.
Shorthand,
like...
and then it gets to the point where we got to be careful. Like instead of saying hungry, we're like, God, I'm hung. And so we'll be in public and we'll be like, I'm so hung right now. And then it's like, that is not something you say in public. But anyway, hungy. Wow. We love talking like that. It's so funny.
I don't
shortening words.
I don't think I ever had that kind of friendship with anybody. I mean, with friends in the Army, I used to call them like, well, I can't say what I used to call them, but it wasn't nice.
Oh, no, we have that too. We'll still, I mean, I think a lot of guys are like that, and that's understandable.
Yeah, that's just part of being a dude.
This sort of like, like money that it, like I remember money that was not ours back when we were younger, and we were using our parents' money.
How did you just come across money? Like, what is that?
Oh, no. I mean, like if I went out and my friends knew me well enough to know that I didn't have a job and this is my parents' money, they started calling it blue money. And they would be like, you spending that blue money? And it makes no sense.
Oh, okay, so there's not like
there's
actual
no meaning to it, but
blue.
we would laugh because it's
Okay.
like a way to make fun of each other that you're unemployed. And
There's a lost art of talking crap.
Yeah.
Like
oh gosh, we're still big fans of it.
Like that's yeah. You and I are. I think we're a little more polite about it though.
Oh yeah.
But there is a lost art to that, and it's just like kind of figuring out that hierarchy of where you are in your friendship and friend group.
It's true, and I find myself a lot of times when, like with you and I, when we don't have the years that I have with my other friends, but what I like to start by doing is I start to do it self-inflicted.
Oh, sure,
I'll make fun of myself, which I love to do, and so, but really though, that's sort of like a way of like I don't know, getting used to that banter. Of, you know what I mean.
What you're doing is you're showing the limits of like, hey, this is.
It doesn't bother me.
Right, this is it. Like this is it. Yeah, no, like in the military, man, it's just full bore.
Yeah.
From day one.
Yeah.
Like.
Was it a culture shock thing for you, or where you felt like you were like, I knew this was going to be this way, and I actually am used to a little bit of it with your...
You know, that's a very good question. It was... When I went in 2006, it absolutely was.
Yeah.
When I went active duty in 2008, it was... I'd already been in the reserves for a little while, so I knew what to expect. Yeah. But when I got to a active duty unit... That was completely different because you got to understand. I'm coming from the point of view of like I've been in the military for a while.
Yeah,
and then I come across a situation where I am not only low man on the totem pole, I am being treated and told that I am literally nothing. Yeah. I don't matter. I suck, and I'm cleaning it up here.
Oh yeah,
like I am the lowest of the low, the worst thing to ever exist, and I have to prove myself here. And I'm like. There's a level of like earning your stripes, but then also
like from maggot to man, sort of.
Yeah,
that's
but
how they treat it.
You're not wrong, but there were points of time where I'm like, even in my mind, I'm like, this is too far.
Yeah,
like this is too much. Like this isn't.
The only taste of that I've seen is they made. I mean, Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket. They show a little bit of that.
Yeah, but that was in basic training. That's one of those scenarios where like you almost kind of expected a basic training because of movies like that. But when you get to your unit,
and it's still happening
in basic training, you've proven yourself to be good enough to be here. But that's not how it is at all. Basic training is like the easiest part of the military. Period. You're told where to go, when to be there, and how to do it. Yeah, that's the easiest part.
Yeah, we see that as one of the hardest parts because of what we've seen.
It's the easiest part of the military.
Yeah.
The hardest part is when you get to your unit.
Wow, see, that's where I thought I would feel like, wow, I've made it.
Same, bro, same. Like, it's not like you relax or anything, but it's like I was not prepared for how I was going to be treated and how bad it was.
Yeah.
And what made it, I think, worse was I was moved to a small section within that unit. So you've got like...
So it's even tighter, probably.
It's a smaller group of guys, and you've got to rely on just a small group of guys.
So this was the airborne.
Much longer. Yeah. I was in the sniper section as the radio operator for the sniper section. Mm-hmm. And it was myself, my team leader, or I'm sorry... Yeah, my team leader, a sniper, and then the section sergeant, and then another team of 3. So there were 7 of us, and that was it. We all relied on each other.
Yeah.
But guess what? If you were new, you were getting destroyed constantly. And that is what happened to me.
Yeah.
And when I went in, I was already suffering through depression. I suffered through depression all the way through high school, most of my time in the military. That drove me even deeper. And working through that depression, well, I never did. I never worked through it until years after I got out of the Army. I mean, like a solid 5 or 6 years out of the Army when I finally confronted it and got over it.
People sometimes forget that with depression that it can be dormant and then you tackle it later.
You're right. It wasn't dormant for me. It was I didn't realize that.
I meant like when you got out. I didn't know if it's sort of like.
No.
Okay,
it was
the whole time.
I dealt with it the entire time.
Yeah.
So I've been dealing with depression most of my life. I actually didn't realize I was depressed. I actually just thought that this is how things were. I thought this is how people were. You know. I didn't think there was anything special about what I was dealing with. I just thought I wasn't dealing with it as well as other people.
Yeah.
And only after so full disclosure here, I got out of the military with an honorable discharge, but there's a medical. It's considered a medical, and the reason being is when I was deployed, I hit such a low in my depression that I tried to kill myself. Luckily, a couple of guys, came across me. They stopped me from I was going to shoot myself in the head. They prevented me from doing that. And, I eventually came back home and, went through the psyche evals and everything and was diagnosed with clinical depression. And I don't really know, like, that's just what they kept telling me. I don't know if that's like an actual diagnosis or anything aside from being diagnosed with depression. But basically, that was the whole of my military career. I was just battling depression and then, getting to my unit.
Hell
and then
of a
being
time
told
to
how
be...
awful I am, that I'm trash and garbage, and the worst of human existence.
Yeah,
it just kind of drove me even deeper because at that point it's like I don't feel like any of these guys would go to bat for me or be willing to die for me, but I am willing to die for them. And that was hard to deal with. But anyway,
you want to feel that from them, the people that you're with.
I'm supposed to trust.
Yeah, and so did you reach? This is something that we hadn't talked about. I don't think. Did you feel like you reached that point with them, where you felt that from them?
What they had my
that
back?
they had
never,
your back?
Never once.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Never once. Absolutely not. Which was hard. That was difficult. And then after getting back, I didn't. All my friends are still deployed. So I'm back by myself, and at this point, I didn't have the group of friends that I have now. And so I'm still dealing with this depression. And I'm like, I have no outlets. I don't know what to do. And then I got out of the military and, again, was still dealing with this depression. And it got to the point where I had a choice. I could either succumb to this or I could find an outlet. So my outlet became working out. So what I would do is where I lived, there was a 24-hour gym. And every single day, because it was 24 hours, 7 days a week, I would go from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. I would go to the gym. Yeah. I would work out and I'd run. And that's what I did. I did that for a solid 2 years, more or less.
It's great because it's mental and physical, and you're really... I feel like from what I've heard that it can be a great...
It definitely helped. It didn't get me through it all the way. I didn't like head-on tackle my depression until about 2016. When that was when I found out my first wife was cheating on me and we were going through our separation period. That's when I came across the Joe Rogan podcast and the Jocko Willink podcast. And those are the podcasts that helped me, one, realize, okay, this is something I need to figure out and I need to tackle. But two, realize that it's not just me. There's other people that are dealing with it as well, and this is how other people are tackling it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll give that a shot.
Back to the power of conversation, like we were talking about in the last episode. Yeah.
For me, it became working out, rock climbing, and backpacking. Yeah. But then also that's where I reconnected with, and I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast. I reconnected with a friend of mine that I had cut ties with, and she really helped me out as well. But I think this is the first time in a long time that I've mentioned, at least in a public forum like a podcast, that I was suicidal. I had attempted suicide when I was deployed, and then once again after I got home. Yeah. But both of those were back in like 2010, 11-ish, but never since. Yeah. So, praise God that it's I've been able to overcome that. But there's a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, man. And to have that change through physically getting out there and trying to do something about it, as well as a power of friendship as well, and the power of God through all that, man. Because it's just, you really, I feel like you hit every type of therapy, physical and friendship as well as
there was a lot of therapies that I could have gone down. I've never been a drinker. That I'm like I enjoy whiskey from time to time.
That's what I mean. It felt like the correct therapy.
And it was my chance. Frankly, I could have very easily have fallen to alcohol if it was something I was predisposed to. I didn't drink at all when I was in the military. It just wasn't something I was interested in. And then same thing with drugs. It was just never something I was interested in. I've known people who were doing them.
Oh yeah,
I've been around it, like people smoking weed.
Oh yeah.
But it was never something I was interested in. When I was going through that depression, and so I just kind of defaulted to it. Before I started getting into working out, it was music.
Oh, I
music
love
was my escape for everything.
We haven't spoken about it, but I am a huge music guy where I'm listening to music. If I'm not with someone, talking with someone, I mean, sometimes when Jen and I will put on a record, but what I mean is like, I am listening to music anytime I'm not doing something.
Yeah. Same.
I love it.
Same.
Love it.
And that was one of the big outlets for me. And then eventually, okay, well, you can only listen to the same songs or the same band over and over again. I need to find something else. And I found working out, and then but it was I didn't have the friendships that I have now. Like I just had work, and that was it. That was my only other outlet. And it can only get you so far. Yeah. You need relationships. You need friendships. And I know it seems difficult when you're depressed. You don't want to be that person who's always sad. It gets annoying.
Yeah, it's so hard to battle something like that, but then also start feeling guilty of how you are around your closest family. You feel like
you're a burden.
Yes, to already have to struggle with something that's within yourself, but then also tack on worrying about those closest to you. I mean, that's so much, and I feel like it's you want to lay down, you want to be alone, but that's not where you
it isn't. And I tell you what, one of the big things that helped me the most, and I'll say it just straight away, God was in all of this. God was guiding my path. He brought people into my life at the times where they needed to be there. He really helped me when I opened my eyes back to my faith. That's when I really turned the corner and started to heal. Yeah. But I tell you, man, it was an ongoing battle for a solid 10 years. I'd say like my depression was at its worst in 2006 when I was still in high school, all the way through until about 2016. Yeah. And that 10 years, I can say definitively I was just barely making it. Yeah. Like I had become very good at wearing a mask. I became very, very good at hiding how I felt about everything. Oh, yeah. And frankly, I was just living a lie every single day.
You see people talk about, none of us knew. None of us, when referring to people with depression, but truly you don't want to hurt the people around you. Yep. So it is putting on a mask.
You do, you get very good, very, very good at hiding it. And I did. And it was one of those things, man, where when I came out on the other side of it, I realized that I came out on the other side of it. Like
that's a beautiful thing, man.
It was. I woke up one day and realized, like,
you've done it.
Oh yeah, I've gotten past it. Like I can. I did it. You know, like it's. I can't explain to you the weight lifted coming through that situation. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sitting alone in my apartment anymore just contemplating my own death or contemplating like what my life would be like if I were just different. Yeah. You know, I
what if way of thinking. Oh my gosh.
The what if way of thinking destroys so many people.
Look around you and see what is good
what
in
you
your
actually
life.
Have.
We've spoken about this before a little bit. It is so much to be thankful for, and you have to force yourself into that perspective because it seems small. You think, oh, today went okay. No, it probably went amazing.
It went great. And it's not one of those things where it's like, could be worse. It's not that. Yeah. It's so easy to be sad and upset all the time.
Oh my gosh.
It's so much harder to actually take the time to realize what you have and where you are. And when you stop comparing yourself, let's not even put social media into this.
Oh yeah, it's not.
When you stop comparing yourself to your parents or to your brother or sister or family member or friends, when you just compare yourself to who you were yesterday.
Yes.
You realize how good you actually are. The Navy SEALs have a saying, the only easy day was yesterday.
Oh, I love that.
I love that.
That's so
because
good.
For me, it's like it's challenging me to constantly get better. The podcast looks different the last episode and this episode than it did to the first and second. And I can almost guarantee the podcast is going to look different again at some point because I'm constantly wanting to make it better.
Yes.
It sounds better, I'm sure, because we actually did a sound check. You're welcome. I no longer sound like I'm in a tube, you know? But that self-imposed challenge to be better than you were yesterday in some way, shape, or form.
And the fulfillment
changes
of it.
Everything.
It feels so good. I recently, all we did was just, to some it may sound, oh yeah, I do that once a month. Well, I don't. I did a full reorganizing, cleaning, deep cleaning, and purging of everything. Jen and I tackled my whole apartment, and I never broke from that college way of living where you sit something down and
That's where it
there.
stays. Yeah.
and having no set place for something, having multiple drawers that are catch-alls where it's just. So I got into that way of living, and I know it may not seem like a lot, but just doing that changed everything.
Yeah.
I woke up feeling better.
Yep.
I went to work feeling more motivated. I felt creative, the passion to create, this podcast being one of those things, it fed me in every area, really, just because my environment, something that I improved in my life. Mm-hmm. Little things go a long way. And so
it really does.
Yeah, I have Jen to thank for that, because she was so back to just like having people that want you to be the best.
Yeah, well, not only that, but will support you in that. Like,
support you, yeah.
My wife is, oh my gosh, she's my best friend. I love her so much. She I will come to her at least once a week with a new business idea of like, hey babe, I'm thinking about getting into, this. I want to do this. I'm thinking about getting into, making my own t-shirts or I want to buy a 3D printer and, make my own sculptures and sell that. I'm thinking about and she never once goes, you've already come up with like 8 ideas.
Mm-hmm.
How about
she
you
listens
do that?
to them.
She's like, oh yeah, how would you do that? Like, oh cool, totally, absolutely. And it's so refreshing.
Means
it's
so much.
Such a great feeling where you have that support. Yeah. That just unquestioning support.
Jen's like that too, and it's such a beautiful thing where because you expect, like, you'll say something and you feel like there's a part of you that's saying, bro, what are you doing? There's other things you're doing, but you're still excited. Yeah. And to hear someone else say, you can do that. Yeah. If you want, you can do it. Yeah. Know that that's an option. Oh man.
It's a terrific feling. It's a wonderful, and I tell you what, man, if there's one thing I could say to someone who's like, what do I need to do? How do I start? It's just pick something, anything that you want to do better. Anything, something small. Yeah. And get better at that. Mm-hmm. Spend a week. Get better, whatever that is. Whatever that skill is, that activity, whatever it is. Yeah. Spend a week devoted to just getting better at that. Yeah. And then once you're better at it, you move on to the next goal and do that. And you're not comparing yourself to anyone. You're not comparing yourself on social media. Don't even tell anybody. No. Don't even tell anybody that you're doing it. Just do it.
People want to tell everyone, I am going to do this now. Don't even bother doing that.
Don't say a word. Yeah. Do not say a thing.
Because you don't need that. You really don't.
You don't need everyone's input. You don't need everyone's like, well, you shouldn't do that because if I took everyone else's input, I would not own my own business. Yeah. I wouldn't own my own house. Yep. I wouldn't have the space for this podcast. I wouldn't be where I am right now if I took everyone else's advice. Because they're going to give you advice for what worked for them. Guess what? I'm not them. Yes. So I'm great that worked for you. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. You're not me, and I'm not you. I'm not doing this.
That applies to so much. You are your own person.
Everything. The only thing you should have expectations of are yourself. Yeah, and it should be within reason. Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if I set the expectation of myself to be a millionaire in the next year, obviously I'm going to fail in that. In that, right? Yeah. Unless I hit the lottery, which I don't play. So Mm-hmm. But set an attainable goal, and there is self-discipline that is involved in this. Like if you set
Which will get better over time.
You will.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you set that goal and then don't achieve it, guess what? It's your fault.
Yeah.
This is life. Mm-hmm. Life is like,
it's not that you think, oh, that guy was wrong who told me I could do
I should
this.
set this goal. That guy's wrong.
Yeah.
No, idiot, you're wrong. Sorry,
Yeah.
can't help you. Like, and this is real Austin coming out here. Like, not to say I've been putting on fake Austin, but this is like how I actually am in person.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I don't have sympathy, because I do. But if I come across those people who are constantly complaining and they're constantly upset and they're constantly
Gotta cut through that.
Guess what? I stop caring.
Yeah.
Because you obviously don't care enough to fix it or to do something about it.
I can only help you if you care about yourself, is what you're saying. Like they have to care about.
They have to care about themselves to
enough
actually
to-
do
yeah,
something
yeah.
about it. I can't care enough for you. If you come to me for advice, I'm going to give it to you.
And
I'm going to help you out.
and that can be very, it's tough. There's a lot of people. I mean, I know myself, I really am very empathetic to people, and it can be hard on the people. If you are trying so hard to help somebody and they are not at all caring about themselves, you will wear yourself out trying to help them.
You can't live their life for them.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't.
So, I mean, be there, be supportive, but know that they are, it's like when it came to cleaning the place, like it's one of those things where you build it up. You think, oh man, I have so much to deal with. And then you start and you're like, I'm actually having fun cleaning right now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson has it's one of his 12 rules for life, but one of the first ones is clean your room.
Yeah. Is that the guy? Is that the make your bed, similar to the make your bed thing?
Guy.
Yes, I love that. That's something I've started to do. It may not be very neat, but make your bed is a great way to start the day because you immediately tackle a task.
You start with a win.
Yeah,
you start with a win.
Absolutely.
We're at time. I mean, I can go for hours,
and that's why we're going to.
And this and I know it seems like we define the podcast every single episode.
Yeah.
This podcast is going to be funny.
Yeah.
It's going to be real. It's going to be genuine. Sometimes we're going to get fired up about something like this. This is something near and dear to my heart. So if this helps somebody, and I hope it does, great.
Yeah.
But if you can take this lesson or take our experiences and apply it yourself, fantastic. I hope you do. Please comment below, like and subscribe, share the podcast with somebody. One friend, two friends, I don't care.
Even if you just tell somebody.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm listening to these two dudes talk about literally everything and nothing all at the same time.
Yeah, put us on when you're showering. Put us on the way to work. But the showering was a weird one to start with.
That's the first thing you
I'll be real. I listen to a lot in the shower. That's my thing.
Fair. Totally
fair. I'm just saying it's easy listening, and it's not going to be something that'll tax your brain.
Yeah.
It's something that will make you feel good. And, like we spoke about earlier, when it comes to conversation, it's about the realness of going to different places. Yeah. We don't want to be in one spot.
It's not transactional.
Yeah, so we're going to jump around.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
And we will see you on the next one.
Latest.